Here we go now. A case of beer, some barbecue. There's no doubt that I'm better than you. With these looks and these moves, you can't blame me for being so rude.
Check, check. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Red, white, and blue will be my home till the day I die. I'm every lady's fantasy. I'm the American guy. The trailer park is where I'm from. You better believe I have about 27 guns. Baseball games, pickup trucks. I'm leagues above you other dumb schmucks. I'm from where the women are hot and the Twinkies are deep fried. And every day I pledge allegiance to God and country. I'm the American guy.
Happy Monday evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Filsinger Games Fan Podcast. Happy July 5th. Hope you all had an incredible 4th of July if you celebrate 4th of July. But you know what? Even if you don't celebrate 4th of July, you still had 4th of July. You really did. So anyway, I need to get my thing working here. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Filsinger Games Fan Podcast, episode number 150. This is the podcast that reminds you to please do not drink and drive as 2136 becomes 2137. Hey, we want to send a big shout out to all the incredible Patreon patrons who make the incredible Patreon patrons who make this show and the other shows from Saturday Morning Media possible. Really appreciate having their support. And a big shout out to the patron producers, Dorothy Bachoco, Eve Cunning, Kathy Crawford, Tony Urbano, David Akers, and Vicky Sebring. If you would like to become a patron and support this show and the other fun shows from Saturday Morning Media, head on over to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media. Well, we've got a big podcast for you today. We've got a really, really big podcast for you today, so we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get to it. Hello to everyone in the chat who is watching along. It is great to have you all here. Let's get to the news, all the Filsinger Games news that there is to print or report on. Champions of the Galaxy news. It was just reported, ladies and gentlemen, that Scorn will be getting an update in Origins 2137. And you can see the update on the screen if you're watching along live. But it says, sorry, if I can get this, just trying to get the news story open. Scorn and Shayne are going rogue in Origins 2137. These two outlaws are going to make some waves in Origins 2137. On the latest expansion to the Champions of the Galaxy Epic Games series. Scorn will adopt a new look in keeping with Shayne's outlaw image. These two tough hombres will be battling all comers at sundown. But what exactly is going on? Will Shayne and Sly Drury have a big blowout? If they do, will Shayne and Scorn join forces with Endgame and the FDF? The answers will shock you as new entanglements will emerge for Shayne and Scorn. Can you guess? It won't be easy. The GWF is unpredictable. All the breathtaking answers coming soon with the imminent release of Origins 2137, along with our other amazing game releases. You can't miss any of this action. It's just too good to be true. So here we have Scorn, ladies and gentlemen, dressed up very much like Shayne, fitting in perfectly with Shayne. And yeah, you know, I am a huge Shayne fan. If you don't, I'm sure you all know that. I am a huge Shayne fan. I don't think Shayne needs anybody. At the very end of the handbook for last 2136, it said that Scorn and Shayne started hanging out, and is there romance in there? And I was like, ugh, I hope not. Shayne just needs to be by himself, needs to do his own thing. It certainly seems, from everything we've seen so far, what with the write-ups for Hyla and Tempest, and now this write-up for Shayne and Scorn, that maybe intergender tag team is going to be one of the focuses of 2137, if not the focus. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but definitely looking forward to Shayne. I always thought that Scorn came in as a hero and then turned as a villain, and I never thought it worked. So maybe this will help clarify what she's doing a little bit more. So anyway, Scorn gets an update, and there you go. The next thing, that's it. No more teases until the release on Friday. So there you are. Moving on to Legends of Wrestling. Of course, we have the Tragos Thesz Hall of Fame 2021 set that is coming out, and we have Bob Backlund, we have Gorilla Monsoon, we have William Muldoon, we have Joe Pesci, Don Curtis, and of course Kurt Angle, Thunderbolt Patterson, and one more name. That name will not be announced until Friday night, but one more name to come for the Tragos Thesz Hall of Fame set. If you have not pre-ordered all this stuff, you need to head on over to filsingergames.com and get your pre-order in, because all this stuff is coming out Friday, so you want to make sure that you get everything. Moving on to Galacticon, the Galacticon schedule was released, and we're going to go over that quickly here. Friday, and now all these times that I'm going to be saying are Eastern, from the Eastern time zone. So if you live in a different time zone, if you're attending virtually, you can adjust for your own time zone. But Friday, July 9th at 5 p.m., the in-person get-together at Molly Malone's first floor, featuring the release of Origins 2137. So that is for the in-person Galacticon. If you are there in Pennsylvania in person, that's for you. If you are attending virtually, everything starts at 7 p.m., and that is the virtual get-together at the Galacticon Zoom room. At 7 o'clock, the virtual convention room opens. 7:30, the announcement of the 8th Tragos Hall of Fame card and the Galacticon exclusive cards, and a Galacticon Q&A with the Filsinger Games staff. And at 8 o'clock, Champions of the Galaxy and Legends of Wrestling Quiplash game, hosted by yours truly and the one and the only Jack Durakis, aka Loud and Noxious. That is going to be so much fun. We've been coming up with some amazing questions for the Quiplash game, and I think you're really, really going to love it. If you have not played Quiplash before, you can check out my YouTube channel, GWF Promoter, because there are lots of... We played it before. It was sort of the test run for all this. So that is everything that's happening on Friday. On Saturday, July 10th, everything starts at 11 a.m., that's 8 o'clock a.m. for if you're like me out on the Pacific time zone. 8 o'clock, but 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern, the Galacticon Cup qualifying tournaments. At 11 o'clock will be the GWF 2137 tournament. At 12 o'clock will be the Best of the Indies tournament. And at 1 o'clock, there will be a Legends of Wrestling tournament. At 2:30 p.m. Eastern, we will have the second half of 2021 release announcements. So we'll get the word on what's coming out on the second half of 2021, and a Q&A with the Filsinger Games staff. And at 3:30 is the big charity auction, which we will talk about in just a moment. You'll have more about the auction here in one moment. And that'll wrap up at 5 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. Moving on to Sunday, July 11th, 11 o'clock a.m. is the Canada Cup tournament. 12:30 p.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. is the Champions of the Galaxy Trivia Contest. 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. is the Dark Menace's Lair with Tom Filsinger. I'm guessing this means that Tom will not be in person. I don't know. The Dark Menace Lair is what they called his Zoom room. Maybe he's doing both. I don't know. I don't know if Tom's going to be there in person or virtually, but to me, it sounds virtually here. And then at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m., the Galacticon Cup tournament, 4 live con qualifiers, 4 online con qualifiers. Again, that is your schedule. If you need to check out the details in the schedule, you can head on over to filsingergames.com and click where it says Galacticon 2021. There are a lot of items up for auction at the Galacticon Auction items. This auction is going to go on forever, but some really amazing things going on. Both official Filsingers, both non-official Filsingers, both bootlegs, both wrestling memorabilia, just lots of stuff. The total list, Tom will be virtual. That's what Todd is saying in the chat. Tom will be virtual. So there you go, updated there. So here you go, a huge list of items for the 2021 Galacticon auction. Of course, this auction benefits the George Tragos Thesz Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. There's some original art by Chuck Carter and Sonny Strait and Brian Michael Bendis. There's the super rare King Kong Bundy card that's sold out, a P3 and Tyranny limited edition cards, and some limited edition Bobby Heenan and Captain Lou Albano cards, a signed Nacho Barrera card, an Evolve 1 prototype set with alternate backgrounds. That sounds really interesting, and more. Chad Olson is offering up a huge list of signed cards that he will get signed and send to you, including Kurt Angle, Baron Von Raschke, Thunderbolt Patterson, James Beard, Rock Riddle, Barry Windham, J.J. Dillon, and I got my eyes on that Barry Windham card just in case anybody's wondering what I'm bidding on. Anyway, there's a ton of stuff. Again, head on over to filsingergames.com, click where it says Galacticon 2021, and then you'll find on Saturday, you'll find a link to the page that lists everything that's going to be in the auction. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. That is all the official news. We are moving on to part 2 of a little walk down memory lane. As I said last week, 2137 takes place exactly 50 years after 2087, which was, the first game edition for Champions of the Galaxy that came out was 2087. So we've been taking a walk down memory lane looking at my original cards, my first couple cards. So this is going to be a lot of fun, and we looked at the first 6 cards from 2087 that I played out, and we're going to look at the next 5 cards, because I only did 11 cards my first year. Moving on to card number 7, it was called Smash and Slam, there was a cosmic cage match between Exo King and Commander Sam. Wolf and Proteus won back the tag belts from Beast Rider and Pulsar, and in the main event, Actagon won back the Galaxian Championship from Star Warrior with the Grecian Power Grip. And if you're watching along as on YouTube, you can see actually scans of my original page sheets. And I don't know where I came up with these names. I think it was just, I need a name. I'm going to write Smash and Slam. That's the name of the card. You can see, I know Pete Beck is watching. Unfortunately, Massacre beat Death Knight via a running clothesline. But I started writing a little bit more details about what finishing moves were used as I started to build my history. Moving on to card number 8, which if you can see the page, I originally called Ice War. And then I crossed that out and I renamed it Avalanche. I don't know why I did that, but that's what I did. The other thing I started doing with this card was I started saying where the events took place. And early on, I decided that every planet in our solar system would have a GWF arena. So this Avalanche or Ice War took place on the GWF arena on Pluto. But we've got a lot of great matches here, a lot of tag team action. Massive and Commander Sam beating Death Knight and Executioner. Kraken and Genghis Khan beating Lord Nexus and Pit Viper. Thanatos and Comrade Terror losing via DQ to Vanity and Renegade. The Wolf and Proteus defended the tag team championship against Beast Rider and Pulsar. And in the main event, Star Warrior, this was hot potato with my Galaxian title back in these early days. Star Warrior defeats Actagon with the Nova launch. And so Star Warrior becomes the Galaxian champion again. Moving on to card number 9. This card was called Revenge, and it took place at the GWF Arena on Uranus. And what's interesting about this card is that some of the 2088 guys make their debut. I hadn't even played out a full set of cards yet, a full year of cards, and the 2088 guys have already started making their debut. I remember I ordered the first starter set, and then I played a couple cards and I liked it so much, I immediately ordered the next couple sets. So we've got Spike making his debut in a tag team with Brute, and they lose to Lord Nexus and Pit Viper. Billy Joe Boxer loses to Executioner. And then Mesmer loses to Death Knight. There you go. That's a big win right there, Pete Beck. Death Knight beating Mesmer with a sunset flip. In the main event area, we had Wolf and Proteus again defending the titles, beating Thanatos and Comrade Terror. And in the main event, Star Warrior uses a Nova launch to beat Actagon, the challenger. So 2 solid defenses, no title changes on card number 9. Moving on to the penultimate card for 2087, called The Calm. I guess my idea was The Calm Before the Storm. That was the name of this event, The Calm. But we have even more 2088 wrestlers debuting. Incredible Badger loses to Bishop Hell via DQ. Death Knight with a DQ win over Reptillo. Reptillo slams Death Knight on the floor outside the ring. Reptillo certainly not playing fair. Spike with a Super Destroyer win over Billy Joe Boxer. Pit Viper gets a DQ win over Splatter. So the Norse gods fight the henchmen, with the henchmen winning via pin. And I even started kind of notating here also. Well, I guess I've been doing this, but who wins? So Comrade Terror pinned Moutman after an atomic warhead to win that match. Moving on to the championship matches, Wolf and Proteus beat Vanity and Renegade. After the match, this had been building up for cards. Brute had just started coming to ringside and annoying Wolf. So after the match, Wolf decks Brute and hits him with the Savage Face Claw. To the cheers of the crowd, no doubt. And then a huge main event where a huge surprising result, Killer Queen defeats Star Warrior for the Galaxian Championship with checkmate, so via submission, to become the Galaxian Champion. Looking back, a surprise win, but at the moment, I didn't think it was a surprise win. I thought Killer Queen won. And moving on to the final card of 2087, it was called The Big Bang. Now, this is a card I have played every single year since I've started playing. It is just sort of an end-of-the-year blow-off card. You can see if you're watching the YouTube channel, I started printing things out. And no more handwritten match sheets here. I started printing out my match sheets. And, a great card. One of the things I'll note here is there was the first... I must have ordered the Ringside Companion, too. But I had an Atherin Ultimate Escape match that didn't have any gladiators in it at all. It was Beast Rider, Pulsar, and Mutant versus Genghis Khan, Kraken, and the Creeper. And Genghis Khan, Kraken, and the Creeper would go on to win that match. My first ever barbed wire cosmic cage match, Pit Viper versus Splatter, and Splatter wins that, injuring Pit Viper. Thanatos beating Greg the Hammer Valentine. The Henchman beating Savage Beauty, that's Renegade and Vanity. Actagon beating Lord Nexus via submission. Now, this was a big cluster. A 6-man tag, I have it written here as a 3-man tag, but a 6-man tag, Falls Count Anywhere, survival rules match. Whew, holy moly. That is Crazy. And that was Commander Sam, Atom Blast, and Massive taking on Exo King, Death Knight, and Bishop Hell. And Exo King, Death Knight, and Bishop Hell would win that match. Moving on to the championship matches, the Gladiators, Brute and Massacre, defeat Wolf and Proteus and win the Galaxian titles. The first time the Gladiators win the titles there. Starting off a dominant reign. And the main event, no count out. Oh, that tag team match was Titan Death Rules, of course. And then no count out, no DQ match for the Galaxian Championship. Star Warrior finishes off the year with a Running Star Blast to win the Galaxian Champion again. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is a wrap-up of what happened my very first year playing Champions of the Galaxy in 2087. I broke down the final standings here. Actagon and Star Warrior both at the top of the single standings with 9 wins, 4 losses, and 1 tie apiece. Killer Queen right behind them at 8 wins, 6 losses, and Exo King at 7 wins, 5 losses, and rounding out the top 5, Massacre with 6 wins, 3 losses. Interesting to note, in single standings, Wolf's record for the year was only 0-1. He wrestled 1 singles match and lost. But moving over to the tag team side, you got Wolf and Proteus, who have a 10-3 record. Thanos and Comrade Terror are 5-4. Beast Rider and Pulsar are 5-6. Genghis Khan and Invincible Kraken are 4 wins, 2 losses, 1 double DQ, 1 tie. And, I have a typo there, but Savage Beauty, Vanity, and Renegade were 4-3. So, great standings there at the fun. It's always fun to look back at the standings, and I'm slowly going to go through my Fed and do that. Well, 2137 comes out this week, and you better believe I will be playing this week. My current champions are Aethrin Overmaster as the Galaxian champion, Castellax, Moog and Sentinel as the tag team champions, Shayne as my interplanetary champion, and Krala as my women's champion. So I'm certainly looking forward to getting started playing 2137. If you want to keep up on all the stuff I'm on all my Fed, head over to gwfpromoter.com. That's the place to go. All right. On to the match of the show, ladies and gentlemen. You know, Shayne is our current podcast grand champion, and I asked you, who should Shayne take on in his next defense? And you gave me a great list of names: Rowdy Piper, Don Leo Jonathan, Kurt Hennig, George Hackenschmidt, and Sly Drury. I mixed those all up. I put them all into a randomizer, and ladies and gentlemen, taking on Shayne will be none other than George Hackenschmidt. That's right, George Hackenschmidt will be taking on Shayne. Let's roll some dice. Ring the bell. I don't have my sound up. Ring the bell. There we go. And it looks like Shayne will start things off with initiative and hits a shotgun drop kick, which is an agility move. He does have the agility on George Hackenschmidt. I clicked the wrong thing. Ignore that. We got to roll on level 3 defense here for George Hackenschmidt. Hurt 2. Shayne rolls a Rustler's Roundup. 3 big moves here to start things off. Hurt 2 for George Hackenschmidt. Real Ordeal 3. Down 3, leave the ring. George Hackenschmidt will roll out of the ring. In order to meet the referee's count, he crawls helplessly back in. Opponent rolls on level 3 offense. Shayne rolls on level 3 out of the ring. Now he tosses George Hackenschmidt out of the ring. The opponent crushes you with a spectacular move outside the ring. Roll your count out. Use the pin rating. All right, so the count out target is 2. The roll is an 8, so no pin there. But we will add 1 fatigue token to George Hackenschmidt, and Shayne will roll on level 3 offense. Spinning heel kick 3. And rolling pin again. Holy smokes. The target here will be 3. The roll is a 9. Another fatigue token for George Hackenschmidt. as Shayne continues his assault, rolling backbreaker 3 choice H, so he can try a death jump. His death jump is an A, or a flying elbow drop. That's what he's going to try. He needs an 8 or less to make this work. Will it work? No! Shayne rolls an 11, so Hackenschmidt will take over on level 2 offense and hits a neck crank 2 agility, but Shayne's got the agility, so he'll reverse on level 2 offense. Into the turnbuckle. I don't have my vintage charts down here, so we're just rolling on the regular chart. You are crushed by a big kick. Opponent rolls on level 2 offense. Shayne throws George Hackenschmidt into the ropes. The opponent gets in a position for a back body drop, but you grab him and hit him with a pile driver. George Hackenschmidt with a big reversal there, rolls on level 3 offense, locks in a twisting heel hook 3 on Shayne. Shayne is hurt. Here we go. George Hackenschmidt tries the neck crank again, but that's an agility move, so Shayne will take over on level 2. He hits the big Death Valley driver on George Hackenschmidt, hurting him there, and hits a lariat for 2. And that's a hurt 2 by Shayne. George Hackenschmidt is hurt too. Into the ropes, throws George Hackenschmidt into the ropes. You come off the ropes with a powerful flying shoulder tackle, roll on level 2 offense. George Hackenschmidt reverses it, hits a side suplex 2, hurt 2. What a match this is. Half Nelson, 3 choice D. So power is -1. That's what he's going to go for. George Hackenschmidt needs an 8 here. He does not get it. Shayne will take over on level 2 defense. Hits the Rustlers Roundup for 3. Hurt 2. Just Shayne cannot keep George Hackenschmidt down. Hits Real Ordeal 3. Down 3. There you go. Can Shayne capitalize on this? Hits a rolling backbreaker choice H. He is going to try the flying elbow drop. That'll work on an 8 or less. And it does work. George Hackenschmidt rolling level 3 defense. Hurt 2. Real Ordeal 3. Shayne keeping the pressure on here. Down 3. Leave the ring. He will try and leave the ring again. And he crawls helplessly back in as Shayne rolls on level 3 offense. Rolling backbreaker again. Choice H. He is again going to try this flying elbow drop. He needs an 8 or less to make it work. He gets a 6. He is able to make it work. Down 3. Can Shayne capitalize here? No, again, he hits this choice H, so he'll try the flying elbow drop again. Needs an 8 or less. Gets a 7. He is able to get it. And we're going to roll a pin here. That flying elbow drop catches George Hackenschmidt. Rolling the pin. The target is 4. The roll is a 3. And ladies and gentlemen, Shayne is your winner, defends the title again. Who would you like to see Shayne wrestle next? Let me know in the comments after the match. Great match there by George Hackenschmidt, but just could not get the job done. All right, that was the match of the show. Moving on to the question of the show from last time. Who were your first ever tag team champions? Lots of great answers here. Steve Williams says, in the GWF, Genghis Khan and Kraken were my first tag team champs, beating the Greek gods in a match to determine who'd be the first to claim the gold. They somehow managed to defend the belts against every team in the Fed before becoming easy fodder for Bruton Massacre. As for my Legends Fed, the Road Warriors spoiled the Rat Pack reunion and beat Jim Duggan and Ted DiBiase to claim the Legends of Wrestling Tag Team Championship. They're still holding the gold, but the impressive Team Gaijin, if I'm saying that right, of Brody, Hansen, Williams, and Gordy have sworn to take the belts from Hawk and Animal or to disband forever. Tomorrow I'll be playing out a card in which the Road Warriors will team with Magnum TA and Barry Windham to take on Team Gaijin in an 8-man elimination match. If Team Gaijin wins, they will pick 2 men from their team to challenge for the titles on the next card. I love Steve's. Steve always gives you the full description. He gives you everything. Great little time capsule of his Fed. Todd says, in my current LAW Fed, the first tag team champions on the spreadsheet are, sigh, Butch Miller and Luke Williams. Actually, they were a lot of fun as the Evil Sheep Herders. Champions Fed distinction goes to Bruton Massacre. There you go. That's from Todd. From Thomas Morgan, my GWF tag team champions were the Greek Gods. My first Legends World Tag Team champions were the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. Durandus says, my first ever tag team champions were the Gladiators, and my low champions were the Road Warriors. Mark Ferguson says, my GWF tag champs were Vanity and Killer Queen, and in Legends of Wrestling, it was the Road Warriors. ScottyBoy9999 says, first tag champs were the Greek Gods in the GWF, and it was the Road Warriors in Legends of Wrestling. And Mark Hitchson says, first tag champs, Ox Baker and Frank Gotch, the Iowa Wrecking Crew. And then Pete Beck says, it was too late to be included in the last episode, but here are my first champions. So Pete's answering last week's, 2 episodes ago's question. Galaxian champion was Star Warrior, tag team the Space Croppers, yes, Beast Rider and Renegade, and they beat the Gladiators to win them. And the Moon Champion, which was the early Interplanetary Championship, was Death Knight, of course. He beat Lord Nexus, who I honestly thought was going to take it all. But the dice had multiple surprises on my card 1. So there you go. That is all. I love finding out who other people had as their tag champs. Moving on to the question of the show for this episode, who do you think will be the last name revealed for the Tragos Thesz Hall of Fame set? Now, this is easy. You just look up on Wikipedia, the Tragos Thesz Hall of Fame. You look at everybody there, everybody who's listed, who doesn't have a card already, and you decide who's going to be the last name revealed for the Tragos Thesz Hall of Fame. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to announce the next name for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood Act 3, the bootleg set that I am putting out. Already announced are Todd Kennelly, Beef Candy of Richie Slade and Flex McCallion, Levi Shapiro, and Will Allday was last week's announcement. This week, we have an update for a wrestler who was released as a bootleg before, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Joseph. After the breakup of Pac 3 and a period of working as an analyst at the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood commentary table, Dan Joseph returned to the ring and established himself as one of the top singles competitors in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Dan Joseph defeated Adrian Quest for the United Wrestling Network television title before losing the title to the current champion, Levi Shapiro. Following his loss of the United Wrestling Network TV title, frustration got the better of Dan Joseph, who has become unhinged to the extent where he recently stole the Arizona State Championship belt from Ray Rosas and threw the title in the trash and set it on fire. So you've got a wild man in Dan Joseph coming to your Championship Wrestling from Hollywood Fed. Great artwork by our good friend Werner, and super excited to have Dan Joseph in the game. Dan is just awesome. I love doing a Pac 3 card for him, and I'm glad that we could get him sort of a TV championship caliber card here. Huge shout out to Werner, huge shout out to Zeke for doing all the stats, and also writing up this little bio. Well, that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, for this episode. I know we've gone a little bit long, but thank you for hanging with us. We want to remind you to check out the other great Filsinger Games Fan Podcasts: Uncharted Territory, After Further Review with Steve Tower, Heartland Championship Wrestling with Dave Little, Roll Up, the official Filsinger Games podcast, and Dizzy Dice podcast with Lee Longpree. There is an audio version of this podcast that is available wherever you can get your podcast. Just search for Filsinger Games and it should pop right up. If you would like to follow my personal feds, you can check out GWFpromoter.com, and you can follow LLWpromoter.com, and you can follow me on social media at GWFpromoter. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, you can reach out to me. I would topic suggestions, would love to have them on the show. Just as a reminder, this podcast is not affiliated in any way with Filsinger Games or its subsidiaries, and it's for entertainment purposes only. It is copyright 2021 Saturday Morning Media, and I want to send a big shout out to Thomas Morgan, Jason PDSI, Mark Ferguson, Pete Beck, Todd Jorschel, John Chingren. I don't know if I'm saying your last name right, John, but thank you for tuning in. To Nate Mendson, hope I'm saying that right as well. Thank you for being in here. James Lawrence, hope you're feeling better, my friend. Sorry you broke your leg, and hope you are back on the mend soon. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all Friday. Get your Quiplash ready because it is going to be a lot of fun. That's it for me. I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.
And you know, when I sit down and take a look